Hi guys, welcome to Jewel for Real. This is part 2 of my miscarriage video, and this is coming out a few weeks afterwards. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure you go to part 1, and that explains what I went through the day of my miscarriage and the story, my miscarriage story. Go to the link right here to see my miscarriage story before you tune into this, and then come back to this. And this is a part 2 series, and this is going to be what I went through after the aftermath of my miscarriage and my feelings and everything that went into it. As you can see in my other video, I miscarried at 11 weeks with baby number 2. This is technically baby number 6, even though it's baby number 5 for a viable pregnancy in life. And so obviously you can see that life continues, and I didn't realize that at that time. I didn't think life continued. I thought it was over for me. It felt so horrible. The saying that they say is that you don't know until you've been through it. They say it for a lot of things. Is definitely true. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that it's so true. In different circumstances, you just don't know. Like, you can be there for the person, you can show your sympathy, but you don't really know until you've been through it. It's just the fact of life. With anything. So I didn't know. I thought I knew like what people that went through miscarriage went through until I went through my miscarriage, and then I'm like, I did not know that was what you went through with your body, with your emotions. I just did not know. But now I can know, and I can relate. With other things I experienced in life, it was the same thing. You don't know until you've been through it. And the feelings I felt afterwards were so rough. I would have never thought that that's what I would have gone through. I felt so discouraged. I felt so depressed. Like, I wouldn't say depressed, but I would say totally in a funk. I just felt empty and lost. And, thinking to myself, when is it gonna happen for me? When am I gonna get pregnant again? Am I gonna get pregnant again? And I have to say, it was really hard seeing other people pregnant. I was at the age of like pregnancy. And, so all of my friends seemed like they were pregnant, even though not all of my friends were pregnant. At the time, it seemed like that. There was quite a few pregnant, and that were due right around the same time as me. In my small group, I was part of a Bible study, and there was several ladies that were pregnant too, and that were due around the same time I should have been due. And that was hard to see at that time. Now looking back, obviously I think to myself, I wouldn't have Cohen if this happened. I would have a different baby. And now that I'm used to Cohen, and Cohen is here, because he was my baby after miscarriage, I can't imagine not having him. So obviously, now I know and I could see the bigger purpose. But at the time, I did not see the bigger purpose. And I was like, that's no fair. They have a healthy pregnancy. I don't. I have to start over. They get to continue. They get to continue talking about their pregnancies. I have nothing to talk about with them with the pregnancy now. That part was very hard for me. And it was hard. It was hard not having certain people that you think would be there for you during that time of need not be. Just certain people you thought you were close to, and you don't know until you're through a hard time or a trial that you just think you're super close to, and then once you're through it, they're not there for you. They're not praying with you, they're not talking to you, or like, it's not like you expect a lot out of them, but you just expect something. Another thing that was hard was not knowing the gender. I would say that was the hardest thing for me out of everything. I wanted to know, like, I'm a nosy person, and I very much want to know what's going on. The fact that I didn't know the gender of that baby, like, bothered me to no end. I was like, I wanted to know. That would have helped. I think, at least for me, everybody's different, but for me, that would have helped with closure, knowing if it was a boy or girl. It didn't matter if it was a boy or girl. I wouldn't have loved it any less, but I just wanted to know. I'm just gonna quickly share with you like because I had a blog during that time. That's how everybody knew I was pregnant. At eight weeks, I announced to everybody that I was pregnant, and that's how everybody knew. And like family and friends of mine, like close family and friends, and so I had to tell everybody on the blog again, I'm not pregnant, I miscarried. And that was super, super hard to hit the publish button and publish what I had said. But I'm gonna share it with you It was a hard place in my life. So I shared on my blog this. As most of you heard, October 28th, we miscarried our baby. I actually miscarried during Miscarriage Awareness Month. So that's another reason I'm putting out this series right now. We miscarried our baby. I was 11 weeks along and almost out of the first trimester, so it was pretty hard. I've been trying to get through it and have to say it's the hardest thing I've been through thus far, besides losing my cousin 7 years ago. That was only 6 months apart from me. I've been journaling, getting a memory box to store some things, and making this poem, along with other things that have helped me get through it, besides turning to God and praying. I listen to a song very often that always makes me cry, but in some ways helps me as well. It is called Praise You in the Storm by Casting Crowns. That song, I will stop here, that song really helped me through my miscarriage. I played it over and over and over again. If you don't know the song, go look it up. Praise You in the Storm by Casting Crowns. It just like, it made me cry because I was in the storm, but I wanted to praise God through it because I knew He would get me through it. I am sure a lot of you know the song. I just find peace in that song. Please pray for Randy and I as we try to start having another child again soon, that we will be able to get pregnant soon with a healthy baby. Also pray for peace for me as I'm going to be extra worried as I do get pregnant that this could happen again. And it was hard to even experience once. I appreciate your prayers. So that's what I said to people. I said, so I had some family pictures taken that from my cousin Stacy that she took that I'm going to share with you guys. That's what I let them know. And I thanked Stacy. I also came up with this poem. Now, it's not by a professional poet, but it's just me getting my feelings out in the open. For some reason, journaling and writing poems helps for somebody like me, that an artsy, creative person to get through the healing process. Everybody gets through things different in their own time, in their own way, and that's what helped me. These are just things that helped me, and definitely having a keepsake box and a poem and different other things really helped me get through it. But everybody needs to find their own way to get through it. What helped me might not help you, but it really helped. These are the things that helped me get through it. We decided to name the baby we lost. We did not know the sex of the baby, so we had to come up with a unisex name. We went with the name Ireland. Randy chose the name since he said it symbolized, a few years ago when we went to the country Ireland. We went to the country Ireland with a few of our friends at the time, and he pointed out that it was the first time we tried to start a family, and this baby would have been a part of that family. So I liked the meaning he chose for it. So we went with that. I referred to the baby as Rye for short. We went with Mikhail for the middle name, since it sounded Irish too, and meant who is like God, and the baby was with God now, so it seemed like a good meaning too for the middle name. It helped to have a name and made it more personal to remember that child we lost that was waiting for us in heaven. For me, the biggest thing was coming up with a name for that baby. I don't know if it will help you, but if you lost a baby, try it. Because I think it could really help you. It really helped having a name for that little baby. And that someday when I see that baby in heaven, I will be able to refer to that baby by that name. And that just really helped me get through that trauma in my life. Ireland Mikhail. Here's the poem I wrote. You were only 11 weeks old in mommy's tummy, but I'm connected with you for the rest of my life. I miss you so much, and when you were taken from me, I felt so much strife. A piece of my heart was taken from me that day, and I am constantly thinking about what would have been in the month of May. Were you a girl or a boy? Who would you have looked like? What would have been your favorite toy? So many questions that I will never get answered. So much love for someone I never knew. Mommy and Daddy created you, and we will never know you. Which is why people in this situation feel this blue. I am sure as time in life goes on, God will bless us once again with a new joy, and will make us look to a new dawn. But never think you will be forgotten. We will always remember our little Rye, and when we do, we will look to the sky. We will pray to Jesus to watch over our little angel, and I will pray how God can use this situation as a tool. I never want this to have happened in vain. So I pray, if it had to rain, let my life and those around me be changed. I love you and will wait till we are reunited one day to get my questions answered, to embrace you and see my would have been in the month of May. So that's the poem that I wrote when I was going through it, and it really helped me. I would have been due, I forget the exact due date, but I would have been, well, you know what, I think I actually do remember it. It would have been May 15th. It would have been only like a week after my daughter. My daughter's was born May 6th, so it would have been really close, like exactly like 2 years apart almost. But because I had to retry for another baby, it was more like 2.5 years apart by the time I had Cohen. The other feeling that I had gotten was that I felt like it took me 9 months to get pregnant, even though it didn't, because here's my thinking behind it. It took me 3 months to get pregnant with that miscarriage. I was almost 3 months along when I miscarried, and it took me another 3 months to get pregnant again. It took 3 months to get pregnant again with a healthy, viable baby that is now Cohen, that you see in the vlogs. And if you haven't checked out our vlog, we have a daily vlog called Family for Real. Go check it out right here, that you can see my family. This is my 5th child now. At the time, I felt like it had taken me 9 months to get pregnant, because it didn't even feel like, even though I was pregnant, it didn't feel like I was, because I lost the baby and I was starting over. So in actuality, I was like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. And some people wait even way longer than 9 months to get pregnant. And my hat goes off to you. I'm so sorry that it's taking you so long, and I can't imagine what that's like. Here's pictures of what that my cousin took right before I miscarried. So there I am, happy as can be. That's right before the miscarriage. I was probably 10 weeks there, and I miscarried at 11 weeks. Here's the other picture. It's just a picture of my belly. But there's my little 10-week belly before I miscarried. I was so grateful to have those pictures now to look back on, to remember that pregnancy. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had anything, and for me, that was awesome to have. I also wanted to talk about, for people that have a family member or a friend that have been through a miscarriage, what you can do to help them and what you could do to hurt them while they go through this. For me, what hurt the most was when people said things like God was sparing you. This would have been a deformed or mentally challenged child, and God was just sparing you. That's not cool to say. I didn't like hearing that, and that didn't help at all. Or hearing something like, this was all in God's plan. And obviously, it wasn't meant to be, or else it would have been. But it's not something you say to somebody that's just been through it. That's not what they want to hear. They don't enjoy hearing those words. They need to come to that realization on their own. Anything along those lines, you know, what you can do for that person is, instead of saying those things, to just encourage them and inspire them, and just be there for them. Just saying, thinking of you, I'm sorry you're going through this, are the best things you could say. I also, it was hard for me when people would feel uncomfortable around me. That I didn't like. I could tell when people were uncomfortable around me and kind of ignoring me just because they don't know what to say through the whole experience. And that's another thing that is the worst thing you can do. We need you. If we're going through a trial in our lives, that's when we really need you. Even though you may feel uncomfortable, you just have to step up and get through your uncomfortableness to be there for us. So as I said, the best things you can do for a person that's going through it is just inspire them and encourage them, like I said. And the things that I loved that people did was sending cards in the mail. I didn't feel like talking much when I was going through it, but getting cards, encouraging words, getting flowers sent to me, getting gifts, especially keepsake gifts. I'm not saying you have to do those things. You can just simply send a card, and that's what, a few dollars for a friend in need or a family in need, and that really helps. But also getting keepsakes as gifts, little mementos to remember the baby by, really helps. I really love that. And the other thing that you can do to help a person going through it is act normal. Don't be uncomfortable. Don't be weird. Just even if you feel uncomfortable, try not to show it. We just want you to try to be normal, and even if you don't know what to say to us, just like I said, just simply saying, I'm sorry you're going through this. Anything I can do for you, let me know. Just acting normal is the best thing you can do. I talked about the keepsakes, that I loved getting keepsakes during my miscarriage. This is one of them that's very near and dear to me, actually. Randy's family got it for me. His mom and sisters went together to get it for me. It's a little precious moments. Baby sleeping on a cloud. It's called Safe in the Arms of Jesus. And this I display in our kids' bathroom. And I really loved it. If you can see it too well. I also got this keepsake box. I haven't put a picture in yet, but I loved getting it, and it means a lot to me. And it says, it's called the Reunion Heart. God will wipe away your tears. So I plan on putting a picture of my pregnancy in there that Stacy had taken right before. And it just says a poem on the inside. Since heaven has become your home, I sometimes feel I'm so alone. And though we now are far apart, you hold a big piece of my heart. I never knew how much I'd grieve when it was time for you to leave, or just how much my heart would ache from that one fragment you would take. God, let this tender hold remain, reminding me we'll meet again. And one day all the pain will cease when He restores the missing piece. For Jesus heals each tiny part that holds your memory in my heart. This tearful heart reminds me of when He'll reunite us in God's love. And it's as you can see, the memory box, it has a heart on it with a tear, just remembering the person you lost. And I keep the cards and some different things in here of remembering the miscarriage, the ER band I wore, the poem I wrote is in here. Information that the hospital gave me about my miscarriage, miscarrying. Different notes people gave me are in here, and so that really helps. And I also got like this little bin that I put it in for now, and this has different cards that people gave me during that time. Obviously it meant a lot to me because I kept it. That's something that you could do for yourself, or that's good to do for somebody that went through a miscarriage. It was one of the hardest times in my life, although I've been through some other hard times since then that I could talk to you about in other videos. But it did make me extremely worried going into another pregnancy. I went into my pregnancy with Cohen thinking everything I did was going to lead to a miscarriage. And every single time I wiped myself, I checked for blood. Every single time during that pregnancy. I was so paranoid. And maybe you do that too if you've been through a miscarriage, but every single time I would check. And every time I would check, I'd be like panicking until I saw that there was no blood. And that's something I did with every single pregnancy after that. But with Cohen, I was the most paranoid. It decreased as I had each child after that, but it definitely was with every single child after that. I was never the same after the miscarriage with any single other pregnancy. I always worried, like I went with Talia, I just went into it carefree. I was like not even worried or concerned. And because she was my first child and everything went hunky-dory. But then after that, going through the miscarriage, it totally changed my outlook, and I just became incredibly worried. I wanted to wait until I was further along in my pregnancy to tell people. I wanted to, I constantly be aware of what was going on in my body. I wanted to not do anything that could cause harm, because one thing that going through the miscarriage, it made me think too, like everything that, looking back on everything I did during that time, if it could have caused the miscarriage. Well, what if this caused the miscarriage? Or what if that caused the miscarriage? What if I did this that caused the miscarriage? And that can make you crazy. But that's what I did to myself at that time. I totally went thinking through everything, like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have used that cream, you know, because I had a yeast infection during that time. Yeah, just you name it, I was thinking about it. But don't beat yourself up over it, because ultimately there's no going back anyway. You have to move on. Even though I checked for blood every single other pregnancy and was paranoid, I've had healthy pregnancies ever since. So just remain hopeful. And if you went through a miscarriage and that's why you're tuning into this, my heart goes out to you, like I said in my part 1, and I'm praying for you. And just leave comments below. I love to try to help, offer encouraging words, and coming from somebody that has been through it and knows what it feels like. And I hope this help people, because ultimately when I go through things like this, it's because I want it to not be for nothing. I want to help people. I just want people to feel encouraged or helped by what I went through. And that helps and encourages me that it wasn't all for nothing. So if this video was helpful to you, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed yet, please hit subscribe, because I put out videos almost weekly. I try to put them out weekly. If, yeah, just leave any comments below of what you went through, or questions for me of what I went through. Until next time, guys, fly high and dream big.